So there's a new Garfield movie. Yay!
Oh, Odie, you think he'd see that coming?
Let's get it. I deserve to be with somebody as fly as me.
Garfield movie. The Garfield movie is directed by Mark Dindal, with a screenplay by Paul A. Kaplan, Mark Torgove, and David Reynolds. Film stars Chris Pratt, Samuel L. Jackson, Hannah Waddingham, Ving Rhames, Nicholas Hoult, Cecily Strong, Harvey Guillén, Brett Goldstein, Bowen, and Snoop Dogg. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, after Garfield's unexpected reunion with his long-lost father, Ragged Alley Cat Vic, he and canine friend Odie are forced from their perfectly pampered lives to join Vic on a risky heist. People, Garfield, by 2026, Garfield will be now 50 years old. He has been around since 1976, ever since he debuted in his own comic strip. Since then, he's made the jump to TV shows, animated shows, if you will, animated films, straight to video type of movies, and now he has transitioned to feature films. The ones that I am addressing here with those feature films is that I grew up with those live action Garfield films starring Bill Murray. I know most people could say, people my age will probably say they're not good, nor did I think anybody saw the second one or even remembers it. I remember only the first one. And so, yeah, not denying that they're good. Now cut to this year, that it would go back to being an animated film, but this time theatrically, with Chris Pratt doing the voice to the orange fat cat. And if you couldn't tell, you guys, I have to say, I really have to say that having seen the film, for me, this has to be one of the worst movies I've seen this year. Easily. It's bad. It's really terrible. There is only one positive I have with this movie. Only one, okay? And I'm not BSing, I'm not lying to you. There is only one positive that I have with this movie. The animation is decent. The film looks like the comic strips and stylings of the animated cartoons. A blend of those two things just meshed into one. And so for that, I do think that is definitely the best part about the movie. And I would say the only good part about the movie. Beyond that, there is nothing about this movie I found interesting or entertaining at all. Like, zero. Nada. Zilch. So let's just now jump into the negatives. The voice work, bland. Chris Pratt feels average and forgettable as Garfield. He just doesn't fit the tone of what the character is supposed to be compared to other voices, or rather voice actors, who've done a better and different interpretation from each other. Whether it be the original voice actor who voiced Garfield in the 70s, 80s, to Peter Welker, who voiced the character recently. They at least fit those roles of Garfield. They at least sound like how you would think Garfield would sound like. Chris Pratt, no. This just seems like they wanted to have a bankable star to be at the forefront of this movie and be the headline of it. And they got Chris Pratt mainly because he had one of the biggest movies to come out of last year, which was the Super Mario Brothers movie. So easily people were like, well, why not just get Chris Pratt? I mean, everyone seems to love him. We do, up until you start to realize that he does kind of feel like he's just playing himself. And honestly, watching this movie, he does kind of feel like he's just playing himself. And it's just not any remarkable work. And I know he can do voice work. But in this movie, no, nothing about him stood out. Samuel Jackson is just Samuel Jackson, but just PG-ified as Vic, Garfield's estranged father. I love Jackson. I think everybody my age, or even just in general, people love Samuel Jackson. But he's just not putting any effort into his voice work. Like, he has done voice work before, and he's done really well. Like, people can say that he's amazing in The Incredibles. Here, no, it's not enough. Yeah, I just feel like he's just kind of going through the motions, and is like, I'm just here because I'm here to get a paycheck. Both Pratt and Jackson aren't convincing as son and father. Like, if you see these two, you're like, no. No, hell no. They are on the polar opposite of each other from being father and son. And they feel awkward and stilted, especially when they do emotional moments in the movie. Nah, it ain't working. It's not hitting right. Kane Waddingham is obnoxious and over the top as Jinx the cat, the main villain of this movie. I'm not BSing you guys when I say that. Yes, stay with me. She's one note and two extra with being British. Seriously. And she was great in The Fall Guy, where she played a British producer. And of course, she is British herself. I'm just saying, in here, this is just way too extra. Like, at this point, I would expect her to pull out crumpets, tea, probably have some really screwed up teeth, and really, like, pamper up that British accent heavily. Ving Rhames is boring as Otto the Ox, who helps Garfield and Odie and Vic with trying to rob, with essentially the plot of this is stealing dairy products, really cheese, from a dairy farm. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. He feels so boring. He just feels so boring in this movie. In fact, Rhames may as well be sounding like he's doing another Arby's commercial. Like, that's the kind of vibe you get. You listen to him, you're like, man, you are so bored with what you're doing. Like, I'm pretty sure he's just waiting for Mission Impossible 8 to come out. Because boy, oh boy, he is just struggling with other works. Because, wow, he is just woefully, like, just not interested in this. Nicholas Hoult tries his best as John Arbuckle, who is Garfield and Odie's owner in the entire world of Garfield. I really think he does his best. I think out of all the cast, I think he really does try to be like what the character's supposed to be, but it's not enough. Like, the material he's given is not enough to justify how much he's putting effort in. And when you're giving a little effort and you're trying your hardest, it's just wow. Like, you actually have a good actor, a talented actor, and you're just wasting him. That's a shame. As for everyone else, they're the same way. They're all the same way. Every one of them. I'm not even gonna try to get through all of them. The story is laughable. There's nothing here that's fun, nor captures the feeling of what Garfield's supposed to be. I mean, guys, Garfield is an orange fat cat who's lazy, loves lasagnas, and he hates Mondays, and he's just a jerk to everybody. That's it. That's all there is to Garfield. I don't know what else could you do more with him, but it's almost like they were throwing ideas at the walls to see what sticks, because this is the plot we got, which is him helping his estranged father trying to steal cheese from a dairy farm. You see what I'm getting at, and the fact that it's trying to weave together this like father and son heartstrings moment, it's not working. No, not at all. The music is terrible. Composer John Debney makes a score that's forgettable and generic. Also, the licensed music is not fitting well into the movie. John Debney, look at his credentials. The man can make good music. Here, no, not here. No, there's nothing remarkable about this score whatsoever, and one that I don't find interesting. And I don't know what it is with kids' movies nowadays. I feel like ever since Despicable Me has become like the big thing, studios just have a way of throwing in licensed music in really in like just wrong and just cringy moments that just make you shake your head and you're like, why include? Why do it? The pacing and runtime is awful. Scenes feel like they take way too long and it just drags out the movie. With a runtime of 1 hour and 41 minutes, this movie shouldn't have been nearly 2 hours. Why the hell is this 2 hours? Seriously, I'll never understand it. I don't get it. Why is it that? Who knows? But it's nearly 2 hours. Didn't need to be. It could have been like an hour and 30 or maybe an hour 25. This did not need to be anywhere close to being 2 hours. No, that's already an automatic, like, why? Product placement is everywhere. Oh my god. I have a 2-time policy with product placement. I have zero tolerance for it going any further than that. And they did it twice. Even if it was the same product, people, if it was the same product, it still counts as another product placement. That's it. You've already scratched a problem with me, because boy oh boy is it annoying to have to hear about the dumb things. Like, I think like they mentioned at one point, like, Bumble, really? A dating app in a Garfield movie? Are you serious? The writing is abysmal. There wasn't one time in this movie that I found myself laughing at any of the jokes. It just feels lifeless. I was in a theater by myself and a mom and her child. The mom laughed at, I think, one joke. The child laughed at none of it. And then she laughed at none of the rest of the jokes. And that's a sign of, wow, this movie just isn't really hitting a chord with anybody. And the fact that there was only 3 people in that theater is kind of funny to me. Direction is unfocused. Director Michael Dindal just doesn't know how the film is supposed to be. This is a Garfield movie. I feel like this should have been easy task to do. It just has an inconsistent tone in it all because, again, it has to throw in the things that you know about Garfield, but you also have to throw in modern day stuff, and then you got to throw in this heartwarming story of father and son reuniting and getting together. And no, none of this works. And this is also a man who's also made acclaimed films, at the very least, like enjoyable ones that people like. And for this to be one of yours, wow. Another problem I have with this movie is that it just doesn't feel like a family film, but really a kid's movie at best. At the very least, I can see this as a streaming movie, TV show, or a series of shorts like on YouTube. Why a theatrical film? I'll never know, because Sony thought, man, this could work out with kids. I mean, parents grew up with the Garfield stuff, yeah, but the problem is Garfield hasn't been relevant in decades at this point. And even if he had still animated stuff, I don't think kids were really asking hugely for a Garfield movie, to be honest, if you ask me. I'm not trying to be rude. If there are people that like it, that's fine. I'm just saying that I don't think there were kids out there asking for a Garfield movie. The editing is a mess. Every scene feels like they are barely connecting together. Like, barely. It all feels disjointed. It all just feels like it's loosely connecting well enough to keep the editing going, but I can still see through it and be like, man, you guys are like taping this and having gum just smeared on this and trying to hold this thing together because you cannot connect any of this stuff correctly. People, this is a huge mess. This is a mess of a film. Nothing hardly works except for the animation. That's it. The animation is the only decent thing about this movie. And you know what? It's really typical for Sony because, I mean, if they have a property, they'll cash it in, see if it works. And it did work for them. I mean, this movie made a lot of money, more than Furiosa, which is, kind of sad to think about because one movie's better than the other. I'm just saying. Guys, this is terrible. This is easily one of the worst movies I've seen this year. So I am giving the Garfield movie a 1 out of 10. This movie is just truly bad in so many ways. So many people could be asking for more. That's how we're ending May. So now that the May movies are over, I am now beginning the June movies, starting with the Bad Boys films leading up to when I saw Bad Boys Ride or Die. So yes, look forward to those reviews and other movie TV show reviews coming soon.